Hey everybody, this is Patriots Worldwide. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to talk about our frustrating but really competitive loss against the Buffalo Bills and give my thoughts and opinions on next week's matchup versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it and begin. The Patriots lost a very surprisingly close game with the final score being 21-24, and this really surpassed my expectations as in last episode I had us losing in the realm of something between 13-65 in Buffalo's favor. But truthfully, this game showed a lot more spark, and it really showcased a lot of competitiveness that this team has seemed to lack the past, 14 weeks. But, looking at this team, it really showed a lot of potential and what this team is able to showcase once they have the proper pieces, especially around Drake May and on the offense. And to me, this also showcased that the Buffalo Bills are a very fraudulent team and are only going to dominate the regular season, but will traditionally choke in the playoffs. But I'm not here to talk about Buffalo. I'm not here to dissect their flaws and failures. I'm here to talk about New England and give praise to where it's at. Coming right out of the gates, the Patriots' opening drive was really special, and it was capped off with a 44-yard touchdown reception by Kayshon Boutte, who, as a matter of fact, really been growing on the fan base as of recent weeks, and a lot of people are finally beginning to realize his potential, and the fact that he slipped all the way to the 6th round of the 2023 draft is really puzzling to look at, and Boutte, to me, is just another great product of the LSU wide receiver room, and once we get a true wide receiver one for him to bounce off of, he's going to thrive. But Drake May and Kayshon's chemistry is really special, and it's really showcasing these past few weeks. Truthfully, I do believe that was our best drive of the season, best opening drive for sure, and I will even argue that is one of the best drives or the best drive we've had in the past 5 seasons. And surprisingly, the Patriots defense held up and forced a punt on the Buffalo Bills. Then, as the first quarter came to an end, the Patriots were driving downfield. Ramondre Stevenson punched in a very powerful rushing touchdown to put the Patriots up 14-0 after converting the extra point. I never thought this team would go up 14-0 on the road against a division rival, let alone just in general. So this team, like I said, is showing potential and flashes of what could be if they're surrounded by the proper talent and properly continue the rebuild going into the offseason. Following the second touchdown of the night for the Patriots, Josh Allen tried to play hero ball, as he always does, unnecessarily panicked and heaved it into the end zone, which was intercepted by second-year safety Marte Mapu, which was a great play on his part. However, following the play, he did not kneel down in the end zone, giving the team a good starting position on the 25-yard line. Instead, Mapu started to run out of the end zone, presumably attempting to get more yards, more than 25, obviously, or even potentially thought of getting a touchdown somehow. Running it back 99 yards just wouldn't have worked, at least not at that moment. So the Patriots began their drive at the 1. They did a really good job trying to get downfield, but unfortunately came up short and had a punt. But seeing a play like that, seeing this defense finally come to life and make some plays, like I said, on the road against a division rival, let alone in general, is a great thing. And DeMarcus Covington, the disaster that he is and his play calling, he made some good plays. And I'm just going to jump a little ahead here, but Jonathan Jones, a guy who is, to me, on his last legs of a Patriots career, he made some great plays. He forced a fumble, he defended some great passes, and overall just looked like how we used to look back in the day. So it was a great thing to see from our defense, but unfortunately, not all good things last forever. Buffalo stormed back, and right out of the gate in the third quarter, the game was 17-14. And then unfortunately, following that 17-14 deficit, the Patriots reverted back to how they've been playing all season. While they were pinned inside their own 5-yard line, Drake May hiked the ball like he always does, looking around trying to find an open receiver, threw it to Ramondre Stevenson, who wasn't even paying attention, bobbled the catch. It was dropped, and since it was behind the line of scrimmage, it's a fumble, and it was considered a lateral. Buffalo picked it up, got a touchdown. The Patriots were now facing a 10-point deficit, down 14-24. And that play right there was very frustrating, and it really showcased Jerod Mayo's lack of discipline. I've been defending this man week in and week out that people need to understand he's on his first head coaching gig ever. He needs to learn on the job. But when you're in your 15th week, why doesn't your team have discipline? That's what we want to know. Jerod Mayo, tell your guys to pay attention. Ramondre Stevenson had no business to not be looking at Drake May. Were you not expecting to be a receiver? Do you think you were not eligible? What is the deal, man? It's week 15. You should know these things. And I'm jumping all over the place here, and I want to talk about Ramondre Stevenson and just point out the fact that he still lacks ball security 15 weeks in. What is the deal? Is it something wrong with him, or does it have to do with our coaching and lack of discipline? But like I was saying, at the start of the third quarter, when the game was still tied 14-14, we were driving down the field like we had been this whole game. Everything was going all good in our favor. Then Ramondre Stevenson gets the ball ripped out of his hands, and Buffalo recovers the fumble, and that was the start of our downfall. It was just a very frustrating and annoying play, and I will keep using those words over and over because it describes this game perfectly. Very frustrating and very annoying. This was a winnable game, and we blew it because of our lack of discipline, really just questionable play calling, and just overall frustrating coaching moments. I will get into more coaching stuff towards the end of this episode, but going back to Ramondre, he just frustrates me. We all love the guy. We all want him to do good. We want every player on this team to be the best at their position. But Ramondre Stevenson, he's a one-dimensional running back who is not the guy he thinks he is. He's not the workhorse. He cannot carry the load on offense. Antonio Gibson is more efficient than him. Ramondre should only be used in short yard gain situations, or if you just want to keep chewing the clock down, or if you're on the goal line. He doesn't need to be the power back like LeGarrette Blount was, because he's not. The one thing that really irks me out of all of this is he's getting paid more than Derrick Henry, who's an MVP candidate. And if you ask me, on the offensive side of the ball, running back is the easiest position to replace. So when you're paying one mid running back, and yes, Ramondre Stevenson is mid, I hate to admit it, and I hate to inform all of you guys, but I'm sorry, it's true. Why are you paying him $9 million when there are guys like Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley who are making much less, and they're light years ahead of Ramondre, and they're better than he'll ever be? They are in the MVP conversation for a reason, and meanwhile, Ramondre Stevenson, the only statistic he is leading all running backs in is fumbles with 7 on the year. That is not good, especially for making a $36 million contract over the span of 4 years. I want to go back to the offseason in March, and I really want to know Elliott Wolf's thought process. Why would you pay an overrated running back who is so one-dimensional that much money? You're breaking the market. That's all I want to know. But I'm getting really off topic here. It's just a very frustrating contract. We all love Ramondre to a degree. I'm sure a lot of us do and some don't. We all have mixed feelings about him. I like him as a player. I think he's extremely overpaid and a little overrated. But as long as he keeps doing good things for this team, because he has his moments. And looking at 2022, Ramondre eclipsed the 1,000 rushing yard mark, which is a major accomplishment for any running back. And that's really great and all, but what has he done since then? Everyone tries to argue that, oh, he needs an offensive line and he'll thrive. You really think a guy who's injury-prone and inconsistent will just get 1,000 yards on a consistent basis? I don't think so. I'm sure he'll get close, but even on a good year, he will average, with the perfect offensive line, he will only average about 800 to 900 yards, maybe 8 to 10 touchdowns, because he gets a lot of them from within the 5-yard line, as he should, because that's what a power back is there for, just to plow forward and chew up short yardage. But nonetheless, I think we should move forward. I do not hate Ramondre. I'm just not a big fan of that contract. And I'm planning on giving a bigger analysis in a future video and giving more of an in-depth explanation on my thoughts and opinions on each player's situation and predicament. But for right now, I want to talk about the game, and the next play that I want to highlight is the interception that Drake May threw. And even though you can't see me, the word threw was heavily surrounded by air quotations. With just under 2 minutes to play in the third quarter, Drake May threw a lob pass intended for Austin Hooper. Unfortunately, during the route, Hooper tripped, leaving the Buffalo defender wide open to have the interception free for the taking. And on Drake's part, it was a really great pass, and he did his job perfectly by anticipating Hooper's route, but it just did not end in his favor, and it's unfortunately on his stat sheet as another interception. Now, the stats will not be technical, but just like the majority of Drake's turnovers, it wasn't on him, and that's what people need to understand. A lot of people who complain or call Drake a quote-unquote turnover machine just prove to me that they don't watch the game and just read statistics or just kind of glance over at what the stat sheets say. And getting back on track here, with 8 minutes remaining in the game, the Patriots trailing by 10 were driving down the field looking to cut into the deficit, and as we are all familiar with from all season, the Patriots were stalled on offense and elected to punt, which is fine, but I'm getting into this rant. I saved it specifically for this segment. This is where the frustration comes in for Gerard Mayo, and this is why a lot of people are calling for him to get fired. I still think it's the wrong decision. But anyways, earlier in the game, the Patriots were up 14-7, and they were on their own 38 or 39-yard line. Regardless, they were inside their own 30. It was 4th down and 2, and they elect to go for it by drawing up a fake punt. It converted, they got the first down, which was awesome. But the question is, why would you go for it in your own 30-yard line? Because if you don't convert, Buffalo has amazing field position, and there is no way they don't walk away with a score, whether if it's a field goal or a touchdown. So while you're trailing and down by 10 in Buffalo territory, why do you punt? Why don't you elect to go for it there? It would make sense if you did the opposite, if you punted on your own 30-yard line and chose to go for it on 4th and short in Buffalo territory. That's why people get frustrated with Gerard Mayo, and I was frustrated too. That call made no sense. It was backwards. But you're really going to trust this defense who's been inconsistent all year and who has not even been playing their best all game? Yeah, they had their moments, but you're really going to trust them when Buffalo is up by 10? That was not a very smart idea. And miraculously, our defense did hold up, giving the Patriots offense the ball back. However, we did not have a lot of time remaining, which would have been useful if we've just gone for it in Buffalo territory, but nonetheless, we got into the red zone, and after many penalties, the Patriots finally scored a touchdown. Drake May connected with Hunter Henry for his second touchdown reception on the year on the third and goal of that specific sequence. The Patriots, trailing 21-24, attempted an onside kick, and they were unsuccessful. Buffalo drained the clock, and the final score read 21-24 in Buffalo's favor. Now, I'm sure we all expected Buffalo to win, but we all thought they would win in a blowout fashion, and for this team to keep it close, division football is something special, and we should all be damn proud of what this Patriots team accomplished today. Even though we weren't victorious, to me it's a sign of things to come, and to me, what this offense showcased was a preview of things to come. I do believe that this team is a few steps ahead in this rebuilding process, and we're a lot closer to being in a better position than we initially once thought. And I do believe if we have a great offseason, we'll be able to not only compete with Buffalo for the division, but we'll be able to take the division from them, as their window in running this division is closing rapidly. Following the game, lots of players were partaking in the traditional post-game press conference. Drake May, Hunter Henry, and Antonio Gibson in particular were asked questions in regards to their thoughts on the offense and the job security of their coordinators and coaches. And Drake May, Gibson, and Hunter Henry all defended Gerard Mayo and Alex Van Pelt. And that to me shows that not only Gerard Mayo is still loved and respected amongst his players, but he has not lost the locker room. That is what we need. We need players who will fight for their coach. You can hear it in their tone and you can see it in their body language that they will go to war for these guys. And people also need to understand that keeping Gerard Mayo and Drake May and Alex Van Pelt connected is crucial for the proper development of Drake May's future. You can't keep switching offensive coordinators because the last time we did that didn't work out so well. Whether the quarterback that we previously had, who I will not name, had all the potential in the world or very little, it was very crucial for his development and we failed. So Drake May and Alex Van Pelt, we're just getting started. Seeing these players openly fight for their coaches and coordinators, it should just serve as an example for the rest of us, as if these guys believe in them and are going to openly fight for them, why shouldn't we believe in them and back them up? And yes, Gerard Mayo can be frustrating. I don't like that he contradicts himself, but people are just jumping the gun on him. What did they expect to happen? He inherited and took over a team that won 4 games last year. Did people expect this to be a Houston Texans situation where he was going to take over a team and lead them to a division title in the playoffs? That's not going to happen. That's rare. The point is, we have to give Gerard Mayo time, as we need to give Alex Van Pelt time. We need to give Elliott Wolf a second chance. The only coordinator that is seemingly okay to let go of is DeMarcus Covington. He's had many weeks to make a change and show improvement, and he hasn't. And yes, this defense isn't healthy. It's not at its best. But when you're constantly calling zone coverages, it's not going to work. And not to mention, when those zone coverages aren't even zoning, when you're behind the guy trying to cover, it doesn't work. How are you going to intercept a pass or break up a pass when you're behind someone? In particular, during the Buffalo game, there was this one play that just stuck out to me that perfectly described how Covington's defense has been performing all season. There was a play where Kyle Duggar was behind his receiver instead of getting in front of him to cover, defend the pass, whatever. But when you're behind the guy, don't be afraid to put your arm in front of the receiver to break up the pass. If you keep doing that, whether if it draws a flag or not, it's going to make the receiver very uncomfortable, and he's not going to try to catch the pass rather than defend himself. Like, this team, especially on defense, just lacks aggression, and that's something we need to reconsider going forward. And I'm going to revisit the subject down the road, but out of all 3 of our coaches, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, I feel like, to me, DeMarcus Covington is on his way out. He's the odd one out. Alex Van Pelt and Gerard Mayo should be safe for the foreseeable future. I'm now moving on to what I believe the keys to victory are against the Los Angeles Chargers. No matter how good or bad we are, the Chargers are going to be a problem. Justin Herbert is one of the greater quarterbacks in the league, and he really doesn't get a lot of recognition that he deserves. Jim Harbaugh turned that franchise around, surpassed my preseason expectations about them, and really gave that team a bright future. So when I look at this offense, we just got to do what we did against Buffalo. Just really keep our foot on the gas and just really try to limit mistakes. Take care of business on offense. Make sure Drake May, Keishawn Butte, Demario Douglas, Hunter Henry, especially Hunter Henry, as he is a former Charger, he's going to want to have a great game. Just got to keep getting them involved, take care of business. On defense, honestly, do what we did against Buffalo, but just don't screw up. Just like us, the Chargers do not have a wide receiver one, so put Christian Gonzalez on what they consider their best receiver, and he'll have a great game. Just got to blanket coverage and make Herbert uncomfortable in the pocket, as he's not the most mobile quarterback, but he can run. Got to get Keon White more involved. Got to hear his name more often in a positive aspect. So it'd be nice to see him get a sack. And going back on offense, if we just rely on Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, because our tight ends do really well, especially against good defenses for some reason, they seem to take care of it. On the Chargers defense, we got to look out for Khalil Mack, who was one of the most underrated edge rushers in recent memory, and he's a really great player. So just got to take care of him. And if we really want to win, obviously, just limit turnovers. Ramondre Stevenson, I'm looking at you. Do not fumble. Don't dip your gloves in Vaseline this game like you did last time. I thought we were over this. Get Antonio Gibson involved more. Put him on the screen. He'll catch some great passes. He can make something out of nothing. Even get Kendrick Bourne involved if you want like a simple 8-yard gain, because that's what he's best at, just chewing up some small yards to keep going and just keep moving the chains. That's how this team will succeed. Unfortunately, I do not have us winning this one, as Jim Harbaugh is a very smart coach who can strategize greatly and has really been able to run laps around Gerard Mayo. And given how the season has been, a lot of coaches are capable of doing that. However, I do believe this game will be a little closer than expected, as we did keep it close against Buffalo. So I think the final score will be something along the lines of 28-24 in the favor of Los Angeles. Or even if we win, it'll probably be 21-17, 24-20. Very close game, as we have not exceeded the 30-point mark yet this year, and I don't see us doing that this week. I would like Drake May to throw at least 200 yards against this defense. Who knows? My dream scenario for him is to throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, or even score 2 touchdowns through the air and 1 on the ground. It would be awesome to see Hunter Henry score a touchdown against his former team. Hopefully Christian Gonzalez gets an interception, because we always love to see that. We will take those easily. And yeah, it's going to be a good game, and I just hope we keep it close and have a really great showing, just to continue to end the season on a high note. And we're looking forward to it. At least I am. It's going to be a fun one. Just make the most out of a bad situation. Alright, I believe I've said everything I wanted to say, and I've covered everything I wanted to cover. As always, thank you all so much for listening, and I look forward to doing this all again next week as we take on the Los Angeles Chargers at home in this Week 17 matchup. Hard to believe the regular season only has 2 games left, and it's all over. It goes by fast every year. This is the holiday week, and for those who celebrate, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa. And for my fellow Seinfeld fans, on December 23rd, Happy Festivus to us all. Thank you all so much for listening. Let's go get this victory against the Chargers. Happy holidays and go Pats.
Go Pats!